Good morning, Pixie. I'm absolutely knackered. I was going to talk about a few things today. Let's see, what would I like to talk about? I'll talk about Shaitan, or you sort of forms of what people would call Satanism, but not from the occult view of it, more of the kind of what it means in reality about. Well, basically, we would just think of it as cubes. You put your reality into boxes and cubes of understanding, and these set frames of reference is how you function to a degree. Reality falls into its own cube. You can't just do anything. You have to find a way to do that. That's by basically understanding the physics of the universe and applying your own logic to it to go beyond that. But when it comes to how different sorts of frames of reference you like memories, they operate as a frame, like a window into reality, and you go back and you can alter that. It's yours. It's your property. How it works within your lifetime is that you take your experiences and knowledge, and even it happens every night, to be honest. You upload this knowledge to your higher self, and then that way in the future it'd be used as different understandings in your next lifetime. Some of it's encoded into your DNA frequencies. I think this happens when you're a small child. You find you're doing a lot of sleeping and you're preparing the rest of your body for the rest of your life, basically. So that's what you could think of it as Cubism or something like that, because I know people get a bit sort of, oh well, these things, and also look at the evil aspects of it, but that comes from a lack of understanding, knowing nothing really about the self, because there's an I element to this universe. You can't be completely selfless. You have to self-serve to a degree in order to exist. So that's one aspect. The other thing you get with people with their minds are altered through different programs. Now, stress and trauma are a great way to do it. So great emotional states will cause behaviour changes and patterns, and then your body you basically set up that structure or program around that situation. A plain example would be when you go to work. Most people personalities change. The boss won't be like the workers. There's kind of this boundaries laid out and so on. But I mean, for myself, I've always found this programming hard, but now I understand how it works. But what you need to do is set your own programming up. Don't let other people program you for you. TV's great at doing that. Bombard you with certain beliefs, like what is ISIS, and then it tell you that this is a terrorist organisation, that they're Muslims, and that they come from this background, that background. They just look at a bunch of kind of a mixture of mercenary occult nut jobs who are paid to go out and kill people by their supporters and backers. They're not doing anything independently. It's all been organised. So the problem's a bit more. It goes a lot further, and these patterns of destructive behaviours happened since over 2,000 years ago. To be honest, there's always been a sort of wave or new empire. It's supposed to be for our benefit. I don't know why, to encourage us into a war type society, pugilistic. I mean, there's different timelines. We could have had a timeline where basically the West took a lot of the knowledge and advancements, ploughed into it. There would always be a third world nearer to the east, and then it'd be a case of that we would have a technology, and we would enforce certain controls around that technology, and we would market it for resources. So you'd have a technocratic intellectual society rather than some nutcase bullies who's got the best weapon wins sort of thing. So yeah, that's my first thoughts on today. So it's using these different cubes of reality to your advantage. It's playing the role within your understanding and what that means. A bit like most of you would have from your childhood had certain traumas or experiences that happened. In order to get what you want, you've had to adapt. I mean, hunger's a prime example. When I'm hungry, I tend to be moody. Because I'm moody, it's because it relates to an earlier stage in my life where it's enforced by emotion rather than logic, and it becomes impulsive behaviour, like go to the nearest food source and eat because you're hungry or your sugar's low, and then that's instinctive. But this, it's not just, when it comes to the mind, it isn't just centralised on your brain, it's throughout your body. Things like your organs sort of have operating systems to them. Your heart being a prime example is a doorway to your soul, very much so, because it will affect emotional responses in relation to how your thinking's set up. The heart tends to communicate more with the brain, so it's very independent of that. The other organs do also have neurons in them and this can affect someone's overall characteristics of their personality and their character. You've had where people have had organ transplants and they've undergone a slight personality change in relation to that. I mean, a lot of the esoteric studies on different things, you can kind of look at them and form your own opinion. I mean, that's the great thing. You don't have to follow a set crowd or belief system. Science often said, "Oh, it's been scientifically proven." End of. And it doesn't really deal with the inside of it. Don't go deeper. If you have that kind of, well, this man with a degree said this, it's a bit of it's not very intellectual. You can't have a debate about that, like what people believe and what people have found out in history. When you should be doing your own research and looking into it, because a lot of stuff is politically driven. Science is politically driven, and it's where the money goes. Anything involves in money, people who have credibility or careers is going to tend to be fueled by the politics. So once the politics is set up, they say, right, this is the party line. For the lower level ones, I mean, this is going back to after this cube mentality, is that they've got to fulfill this required structure. Now, for someone like me, these things seem really quite alien and strange. Like I say, recently I've more adapted to it. There's some things that I've avoided. I think I've set my own type of prisms up of reality, like become antisocial around certain things. Like I don't like groups that maybe they're discussing or focusing on an issue that I know to be wrong. I can throw something into the crowd, but they just won't accept it because they've had it drilled and conditioned into their brain. So it's quite difficult to find people with a certain mind frame and understanding. But I hope this is useful. I mean, basically, within this not like good and bad. I mean, that in itself is a cube dimension thinking. It's more of a grey area, and even with yourself, self-serving, and as serving other type behaviour, like working outside of that into a more macro conscious level, and there's the more micro, which is the biological focused and into yourself and into your soul and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of an understanding, and it's Pixie signing off. Bye.